Thank you for joining us, everybody, to hear a little bit about CREP. The CREP is the Collaborative Replication and Education Project, and it's been around since 2013. Um, my name is Jordan Wagge. I'm at Avila University in Kansas City, Missouri, and I'm the current executive director of CREP. And this is my colleague. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you and see you. My name is Lili. I'm from University of Belgrade in Serbia. And currently, I am assistant director at CREP, but I've been involved, I think, since the beginnings. And today you'll hear more about it from us.
And Lily's going to be the next executive director of CREP. Which is a transition that's happening this summer. So we are very excited about that. We also have a link to our slides with the QR code, and they'll be uploaded after the talk. The most recent version of the slides has not yet been uploaded. So save that link and give us about 5 minutes after the talk to upload the most up-to-date version of the slides. So I'll go ahead and get started. Our goals for this talk are just to describe CREP, first of all, if you're not familiar with it, what it is, what we do. Describe our projects and the products that we've produced from the past 13 years. We want to talk a little bit about CREP's student experience and the learning outcomes, because they really are the center of what we do. And then we'll talk a little bit about how different folks can get involved in CREP. So no matter who you are, whether you're a student, an instructor, whether you have classes where it fits or you don't, there are still ways that you can get involved if you like the project. So I'll go through a little bit of this, and then Lily and I will be switching off on different topics. CREP is primarily an educational tool. We want to teach good students to do good scientific practices, and we have them perform direct replication, so as close as possible to the original methodology of highly cited works in the field using open science methods. And I'll go a little bit through like the nuts and bolts of how that's done in a minute. We are different from other replication efforts because our focus is on students and their learning and their professional development. So we really want to give students opportunities for publications. We want to give them opportunities to learn about open science, to learn about replication, and to really really feel empowered that they are contributing to this field that they're becoming a part of. But the nice thing for me is that there's this sweet spot where the students are learning, but there's also an impact on the field. So I taught research methods for years before I started getting involved in CREP. And one of the things that always sort of frustrated me about teaching research methods was that it was really difficult for the data the students collected, presented, analyzed, to have any sort of life beyond the classroom. So I think CREP is this nice sort of sweet spot where students are doing good scientific work, but they're also contributing to the field. They also have opportunities to present because their data go beyond that classroom walls. Data from all of the projects we do are available for meta-analyses. We encourage students to also contribute to our publications. And we have some publications so far, a couple of which have student first authors, many student co-authors. And you can also see our website address here. Our website address is our website is something I'm working on improving a little bit, but it has some of our information. It has links to all of the resources that you might need if you're interested in getting involved. So that's at crepsych.org. Our official mission is to provide training support and professional growth opportunities for students and instructors completing replication projects. And that also, we also want to address the need for direct and direct plus, so replications with extensions of highly cited studies in the field. So the way we choose which studies we are going to replicate is we go back every year. I think we may have missed 1 year. Every year we go back to 3 years prior. We look at 10 of the flagship journals in psychology. So Journal of Experimental Psychology, Psychological Science, Emotion, JPSP. And we look at what 10 papers have been most highly cited since then. So they're recent, they're high interest, There are lots of ways you can pick studies to replicate, and this is just one of them. We put those, into a big spreadsheet. We're still on step one, sorry. So we put those into a big step sheet or spreadsheet, and we have people code those papers for feasibility. So a lot of times the people coding are students in courses. They're other reviewers for CREP. We have them code for how feasible they are and how interested students might be in replicating those studies. And that can often be used as a tiebreaker when we're picking studies to replicate. So examples of feasible studies would be studies that aren't, they don't involve minors, they're not longitudinal, they need to be feasible to replicate within the course of a semester. Things that have like fMRI research or a lot of like expensive equipment, it's probably not going to be something that students can replicate in their classes. And so we consider those less feasible. It also excludes things that have a lot of really complicated design or analysis strategies, because those are a little bit less feasible for our students too. We then, when we pick our studies, and the core team will do that after narrowing down which of those from the spreadsheet are highest. We try to fill in gaps. Like if we don't have any social papers, we might get a social paper. If we don't have any in-person studies, we might pick an in-person study. So we have a comprehensive menu of studies to replicate. Right now, I think we have 6 or 7 different studies that people can choose from across a range of subfields. We then contact the corresponding authors. Even if their original materials are available online, which many of them are now, we reach out for their original materials. We're very deferential, I think, because I think it's a little nerve-wracking for people to hear that their study is going to be replicated by teams of students around the world. So, we say we picked this study because it's high interest, it's recent. We think students are really going to enjoy it. We ask them for their materials if they haven't posted them. We'll ask them for advice on how they handled certain things. And then we'll ask them whether they think there are any moderating variables or extension hypotheses students should be forming. We also, we make it available for students to sign up for, or student teams to sign up for. They will gather their materials together. We will review their projects both before and after data collection to ensure fidelity to the original methods, to just double check and make sure they're pre-registering everything. Everything's clear. And then once they collect data, so they go off, they get IRB approval, they collect data. We also will review student projects after data collection as well and give them completion certificates. And then X number of years later, so we don't have a stopping rule that we apply consistently, but X number of years later, when we have an authorship team ready to lead the publication, we'll organize authorship teams to do like a pooled analysis or a meta-analysis. So since 2012, we've had, actually, this is a low projection. We've had, I think, a couple dozen more projects since this. We've had close to 600 projects, 175 institutions in 29 different countries. English is our language, so that's our reviewer language. We do have people submit projects in other languages as well. We just need to find like reviewers to be able to go over those. And we ask for like English translations of things so we can review them. Students will complete the pre-registrations and post their projects on osf.io for anybody else to look at. So our data could become part of another meta-analysis too. And then we have picked around 20 studies over the year, and out of those, 6 of our multi-site replications have been published, and we have a few more in progress. And it is rolling open enrollment, so you can join these projects anytime and start running them instead of like needing to have everything ready in 1 month and then needing to have all data collected at another time. We also have an annual summer conference. I don't know when it's going to be this year, called CREPCon. And I encourage everybody watching. We have students present I encourage everybody watching to submit something. We have students presenting results from their CREP projects, but we also welcome posters from any replication project. And it's very student-centered, so we try to have workshops on resume preparation, skill development, graduate school, and things like that. I don't know what's going on with our logo over here. That was absolutely my fault. It's like doing some funky things. So if you're interested in getting involved, you can access our step-by-step guide at crepepsych.org. This has been updated with screenshots from the new OSF. You can find a link to our studies there, and you can see what studies are available. You can have all of our instructions to get started. Another thing that I encourage you to do is present your site's data or publish extension data at journals. Present your site's data at conferences, and then encourage students, if you have students doing this, to present at CREPECon. We should have a date for that pretty soon. It's virtual, it's free, and it's a great experience for students. We put them in Gather Town, and other students who have replicated their study kind of wander around. Last year, we didn't have a ton of participants, so we're hoping to gather up some steam this year. Students can also contribute to the manuscript after the study closes, and so can you. So anybody who supervises students can contribute. And we also have a team of students called CREPE Fellows, who are CREPE alumni, who then go on and they help coordinate other teams and contribute to data coding and do other sort of elevated tasks. These are usually undergraduate students or very early graduate students. And we have right now it's Jacob Miranda. We have like a coordinator who helps lead the CREPE Fellows and give them a really meaningful experience. This year, they're presenting their experience as students who have done replication work at a Midwestern Psych Association. So we try to get them lots of opportunities to present as well. And if by some chance you're going to be at Midwestern Psych Association in Chicago, Illinois in April, we'll have a table there. So you can stop by and we'll tell you about CREPE again. One of the things that I think distinguishes CREPE is that, I don't know if this distinguishes us. I think this is just an open science community thing. Take our stuff, use our stuff for whatever you need to use it for. If you like our step-by-step guide and you want to use it as a lab manual, download it, use it. It's all open. One of the most successful projects related to CREPE was the CREPE Africa project, led by Ade Adatula. He was our keynote speaker at CREPECon last summer. He led a team. He took a lot of our tools, like our sign-up forms, our reviewer process, all of our instructions, and built tutorials at SIPS one year, at the Society for Improvement of Psych Science, translated. There was a hackathon at SIPS to translate our tutorials into, I think, like a dozen different languages, and then use the CREPE tools to organize replications with it for different researchers in Africa. So their study selection process was a little bit different. It wasn't the same as ours, but they also were able to use a lot of our tools, and they have a publication coming out I believe in AMPS, that was a registered replication report for this. So I think it's been really successful. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Lili. Is that right? No, not yet. Sorry, there's one more slide. She's like, that's me. That's on me. And also, I am so sorry about this screenshot. I tried to figure out how to fix this and I could not. I just want to show you some of the places where students can get involved with this stuff. So these are just screenshots of some of the publications we've had. This one was a registered replication report we did. This was a partnership project with the Psych Science Accelerator. The lead author on this was a student of mine and then became a student of Kathleen's. So we were able to work. You all might recognize some of these names. At the time, Savannah Lewis was a student. There were 100 authors on this. There were over 100. And I know that because I'm the one who entered all of their names onto the portal in AMPS individually, including their fax numbers. So that was fun for me. So lots of students involved in that. And one of the neat things about this paper was that it solicited a commentary. So I think that's really cool that like students are doing science that's like, I've never had a paper get a commentary before. So this was a totally new experience to me. We're doing this paper that's like relevant, that people have opinions on. And then we got to respond to the commentary, which I thought was just a ton of fun. This is Braden, that first author, presenting his stuff at Avila's Student Scholar Day. It became his thesis. Here are some other students presenting their work at different conferences. Here's Heather Uri presenting our work. She's a faculty member at Tufts, presenting one of the replications they did for CREP. These are our CREP fellows presenting at Midwestern Psych Association last year. So these are students from all over the country, Connecticut, Alabama, St. Louis, and they were funded by the NSF grant, so we could only have students in the United States be CREP fellows for the grant funding. But there's nothing preventing students from other countries being CREP fellows in the future. And then here are some of the other publications that we have had. Here's one that Lili and I were first authors on that came out recently, that we were very excited to get done. I think across the board, we were very excited. Okay, now I'm turning it over to Lili.
Okay, so now when you have the introduction, I will mention some of the advantages of replication work with students. When you work with students, when you mentor them, it can be in a class or in a lab, or you can do an independent study. There are a lot of advantages that occur. First of all, replication guarantees meaningful outcomes without requiring deep expertise. What happens as I'm quite sure you all know, is that we don't have expertise about everything, and students quite often don't have that kind of expertise. But regardless of that, if you implement this kind of program in your class, students can do a replication and it can have a meaningful impact. But at the same time, the results are situated within existing literature, which is also quite important. Now, we all know that quite often we have failures to replicate studies. But we believe that this is also important because it sparks nuanced discussions about methodology. Students can also learn about equivalence testing. They can learn how to find and how to detect real differences from the original study, which is sometimes difficult. And it also teaches students to avoid uncharitable conclusions and to approach results with intellectual humility, which we also believe is very important because, once you do your study, and especially when if you are at the beginning steps of our career, we tend to be super enthusiastic and very proud about what we did. But we believe that this kind of approach teaches our students this humility, which is quite necessary. It also, what turned out to be a real important advantage, it gives you a manageable timeline. When you do novel research, you need a lot of time to, first of all, think about the design, to prepare the study. You have to prepare all the materials and all sorts of things. But when you do a replication, you already have original materials. So you save a lot of time. And this can be used for different things. For example, you can use it for getting ethics approval, which in some institutions is quite difficult and it requires a lot of time. It depends. But you also have you have time to prepare the study, to do power analysis, to prepare data analysis, and over a semester, quite often we don't have time to do novel study with our students. What is also a huge advantage is that we don't require huge sample sizes. We have a rule that the group that's running a replication should either collect a sample size from the original study, but if that sample size is larger than 100, then there is this requirement of getting 100 participants. which means that we can call it a modest contribution from each side, but at the end we have a lot of data. We can do meta-analysis, or we can analyze it. We have simply powered designs, and we can do whatever we want with the data. This kind of flexibility helps particularly smaller institutions. If you have limited participant pool, this is a huge advantage. And at the same time, you can contribute meaningfully to the replication efforts. Doing this kind of approach, this ensures that even small samples contribute to a broader knowledge base, which is at the end important. Next. Thank you. Now, what about student learning outcomes? Well, throughout the project, our students are getting familiar with best practices in scientific work. We teach them how to avoid questionable research practices. First, we teach them to recognize what they are. Quite often, people are not aware of it. So throughout this process, the students learn what these questionable practices are and how to basically avoid them and how to do best practices. We also teach them how to read journal articles, how to understand data. I'm quite sure if you ever try to replicate a study, you remember how difficult it is sometimes to get all the details. I mean, we read the paper, and at first glance we think that everything is clear, and then when you want to do a replication, then you stumble upon like 100 obstacles, and it turns out quite often that it's more complicated than to do something new. So doing this kind of project, our students actually learn how to read papers, how to pick and get relevant information, and how to understand the data that were presented. One part of the project deals with writing and presenting. So when they're done, when they complete the data collection, they have like a small task to write a results section, which means that they don't have to like do the like thorough discussion, but they have to just briefly present their results and to show that they understood what they did. And at the end, Jordan mentioned this completion pledge. So throughout the project, they learn how the project life cycle looks like, and they're getting familiar with the entire cycle. And also, what most of the students like is they can, which is like an optional thing, but they can do this extension hypothesis testing, so they can, in line with their personal interest, they can add more variables. They can do, they can test new hypotheses. A lot of students like to do that. Next. So at the end, we are coming towards the end. How can you get involved? Well, you can become a reviewer. We always appreciate people helping us with this task. Over the time, we developed quite, I would say, user-friendly reviewing system. And at the end, if you like, we had some reviewers who also were lead authors on some of the publications, which is also important. You can do this with your students, so you can be their mentor in this project. You can also promote replications to colleagues. For example, right now we're preparing We will see if it gets funded, but we are preparing one project in Germany. So we are trying to implement this in German faculties. We will see how it goes. But you can talk with people, you can promote it, and you can also help us code new papers, which is a really, really important task, because it depends how well the study will be, if the study will be picked up, and if it will be selected by people.
Okay, so just a couple lessons learned. I'll go through these pretty quick. One of the things that I think folks struggle with when they're doing these projects is it's a little bit like cooking on TV. You know, there are some, like, in places there might be some more complicated analysis that's like not appropriate for the level of your students. So you kind of do it off screen, or like you may apply for IRB or ethics review before the semester starts, so the students don't see that part. So what I give the analogy of, like, it's cooking on TV where somebody does all the steps and then they pull out, like, they don't show the lasagna baking, right? They pull out the completed lasagna. So you have to do some of the steps off the air sometimes. Another big lesson learned is that students disappear after the end of the semester is over, as do we. We don't always get the post data collection review done. We still incorporate some data sets into our publications as long as they pass our quality checks. I'm notoriously bad at doing completion pledges. It's like once the semester is over, the students have a hard time wrapping the project up. And then IRBs can really vary a lot from institution to institution. You may actually be able to use Avila University's blanket IRB at your institution. So if you have difficulty with your IRB, please reach out, because we've probably seen an issue like yours before that we can help you navigate. And then we do have low participation for some existing studies. Like when we first started selecting studies, we had one that needed MATLAB, and I think we only had 2 teams submit data to that. A couple of others have very long Qualtrics studies that has pretty low participation. We're getting better at that over time. But also sometimes those studies just take longer to get published because we don't have a lot of teams doing them. I am bad at predicting what's going to be popular, apparently. So, okay. So that is our talk. We have about 1 minute for Q&A. But you can also follow up with any of us at that's okay, Lucas. I know you warned us. You can take off. That's fine. Thank you so much for inviting us. A little heart emoji with the hands.